It's an interesting time for a game like this to come out, considering that the player base that is interested in the hero shooter genre is already being well served by other already established titles such as Overwatch, Valorant, and the recently released Marvel Rivals. If FragPunk wants to have a piece of the competitive hero shooter pie, then it's going to have to do quite a few things differently. Does it actually do things differently? Yes. Will it be enough though? That's difficult to say. Much like how Monster Hunter Wilds brought some quality of life changes to the series, FragPunk looks to refine the classic bomb planting formula that was penned by Counter-Strike all those years ago. Speaking of firing, I have to say the gunplay feels really good. It's tight, responsive, it has weight to it, whether it be the recoil or swapping out a magazine, and actually firing the weapon has a satisfying punch to it.
Shit.
This title is developed and self-published by Bad Guitar Studio. This is actually their first ever title, and I've got to say, they have come out of the gates swinging with this one. Straight from the get-go, you're greeted with this hyper-stylized sci-fi and punk aesthetic with graffiti and bright colors everywhere. So, what exactly happens in FragPunk? Well, if we're taking a look at it from a lore perspective, we're dealing with a futuristic society where a substance called Gluonite randomly shows up. This has caused the world to be fragmented into what they call shards, which I assume are alternate realities. Humanity, being the inventive race that it is, managed to harness Gluonite as a power source, which gave birth to mercenaries called Lancers. These are super-powered guns for hire that are now suffering from a severe addiction to Gluonite, and most of the jobs they take are for the sake of securing more of this energy source to ensure that they get to live another day. Another handy Gluonite invention are the shard cards that once used can change the very rules of reality, turning Lancers into even more of a powerful force than they already were. As for what it means in terms of gameplay, FragPunk's main game mode is a series of 5v5 rounds where one team attacks and the other defends. The main win condition is planting or defusing the bomb, but killing everyone on the enemy team also works. The team with 4 wins at the end takes home the cake, unless you tie with the enemy team. If that happens, you're thrust into duel mode, which will put you in a series of 1v1 matches where the first team to lose all its members loses the match. It's based on the classical formula, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, but the biggest difference from titles like Valorant is the shard card system. Before every round, you and your enemy's team will be given a choice of 3 cards that you can collectively vote for. There are a total of 169 cards in the game, each with different effects like making all of your bullets explosive, denying healing for the enemy team, or outright removing one of the objectives from the match. How do you activate these cards? With shard points. Remember how before each round in CS or Valorant you'd have to use the funds you've earned to purchase things like weapons, armors, and grenades? Well, in FragPunk you only earn shard points which you can use to activate 1, 2, or all 3 of the cards that are given to you at the start of a round. The amount of shard points that you earn will depend on your performance in the match, and you'll have to work together with your teammates to decide which cards to prioritize. When it comes to guns, however, you have a limited number of uses for each one. If you die with a gun, you lose one of those uses. This is actually quite forgiving, allowing people to use their preferred weapons for at the very least half the game, even if they're not very skilled. Of course, we can't forget the actual Lancers, which come in all sorts of stylish and bombastic flavors. Let me just say that subtlety is not these characters' strong suit, but it definitely serves its purpose to make characters recognizable. Some are a bit too recognizable though, as you could probably tell from Axon, who seems to be a really big fan of Borderlands. You have Nitro, the mechanic, Hollowpoint, the sniper, Kismet, the tech monk, who seems to be the game's poster girl, and Serket, the scorpion, who will become the game's new poster girl, but on a less, reputable website. Back to the point, each Lancer comes with 3 skills, which can be anything from pulling out an RPG, summoning a sandstorm, or scanning enemies through walls. Sadly, some of these Lancers might require a bit of work, as there are 3 different Lancers that have some variant of a wall hack ability. That wouldn't be too much of a problem in and of itself, but it becomes one when you realize that only 5 of the 13 available characters are unlocked, forcing you to unlock the rest by using premium currency. And speaking of currency, let's move on to monetization. This game has 9, let me say that again for the people in the back, this game has 9 different currencies. You know what that means? It means my brain instantly checked out. No, seriously, what the hell? Bad guitar. Bad guitar! Go to your room and think about what you've done. Why do we have to go this far? You might say it's not that big of a deal, and sure, in the grand game of life, this is just a drop in the bucket. But when it comes to gaming and I see stuff like this happening, I can't help but feel that someone is trying to do me dirtier than what Bugs Bunny did to Elmer Fudd. Why do I have to go out of my way and check what each currency is used for? At this point, even gacha games are doing it better. Rant aside, when you're hit with this game's monetization, you'll easily get overwhelmed. The 9 currencies are not the only thing that you'll have to deal with. You'll also have to tackle the battle pass that gives you access to cosmetics and some gacha currencies for the price of $10. Okay, Future Vincent is taking this section over, as I initially wanted to say that the battle pass is actually not so bad, but after taking a closer look at it, I decided, nope, screw that idea. The battle pass is horrendous. This thing has 3 different tiers: the free tier, the premium tier, and the ultimate tier. You can get the premium tier for $10, but if you want to double the gacha currency and get the 3 skins that are exclusive to the ultimate tier, you're going to have to fork over another 25 smackaroos. I'm sorry, I would have probably accepted a $5 increase for the ultimate tier, but 25? Are you kidding me? I would rather do literally anything else with that money. Hell, I'd much rather spend that money on one of the endless number of gacha games I'm playing if I'm already burning money. Think that's all of it? Of course not. The game also has an annual membership for $10, which I think is the better deal. For that price, you get the premium battle pass, some premium and gacha currency, as well as unlocking all of the playable lancers for the duration of the subscription. It also gives you all sorts of other benefits that act more like an accelerator when it comes to account progression, like a percentage increase in the gold and battle pass experience you can gain. And since I keep mentioning the gacha currency, yes, there is a weapon skin gacha where you have to pull on the banner in the hopes of getting whatever featured weapon skin is available. Of course, you'll also have to deal with the various events the game has, from login events to friend invite events, and all of these are smashed together in such a visually cluttered way that it's hard to make sense of it most of the time. The game is without a doubt heavily monetized, but thankfully, most of these focus around cosmetics, which is a shame because the game has some really good aspects to it. For example, FragPunk has a really great weapon customization system that allows you to tinker with your weapon's look by adding stickers, charms, and kill counters almost everywhere. But of course, even this feature has to come with a small catch, as removing cosmetics from a gun will cost you around 50 gold, which is the currency you'll be using to unlock lancers. There's also a myriad of game modes aside from the main defusal mode. There's Team Deathmatch, Free-for-all, Glue Knight Grab, Melee-only Deathmatch, Mirror Clash, Capture the Core, Sniper Deathmatch, Chaos Clash, and more. There's even a 20-player game mode called Outbreak, where 4 players start the game as infected and must hunt and infect the other 16 players. I honestly had more fun playing Outbreak than I did the standard mode, mostly because it's a just-for-fun game mode rather than trying to be a competitive esport. Initially, nobody knew what to do and was just running around like headless chickens everywhere, giving the infected players rather easy wins, until the survivors started to smarten up with their tactics. Eventually, you'd find yourself hunkering down with other survivors in a small room that lies just beyond the choke point. We'd cover the walls with turrets, the floor with mines, and we'd open fire at anything that would even think of coming through the entrance. When the game starts, it's advised to decide quickly if you want to play as a survivor or as an infected player, and stick to that role for the rest of the match. At the start of a round, you are able to buy shard cards to further power up your character. These can be anything from increasing damage dealt when firing, slowing down enemies you shoot at, or making their heads bigger the more you shoot at them. I mostly played as a survivor because I just didn't like the idea of having to die to the zombie horde, and built my character around slowing down zombies and making their heads bigger, as well as upgrading my firepower and headshot damage. There was something wholesome in banding together with your fellow survivors against the endless zombie horde that threatened to come in and rip your neck the second your attention faltered. FragPunk offers quite a lot out of the box. It's just a shame that everything that it brings to the table has to come with a warning heavy monetization label. And I get it, a free-to-play title needs to make money because after all, this is a business. I get that, I really do. But you can do business without making your clients feel like they're getting shafted if they don't read the fine print with a magnifying glass. The game is good though, which is why I'd at least recommend giving this game a try for yourself if you're a big fan of hero shooters. If you're not, then probably don't bother, as FragPunk is most likely basically incapable of doing anything to change that for you. Point is, FragPunk is a fresh take on the hero shooter genre, allowing players to break a lot of the rules that other games in the genre aren't willing to even bend. It's definitely not without its flaws, and only time will tell if it will be able to carve a niche for itself in this environment, but given the fact that it's rated as mostly positive on Steam, I'd say the game came out to a rather positive reception. But that's gonna be it for me. Tell me your thoughts on the game below, like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one.